Hi guys, in this video we are going to talk about 5 tips on how to improve your life. And I actually believe that I do have the right to talk about it just because I've been through therapy, through some sessions, and I actually learn a lot about psychology, and I can also share my own experience and tell you about how such simple things that you don't even need to spend money on can improve your life a lot. And the first thing that we are going to talk about is schedule. And you may feel like schedule is not for everyone, and for some people it is actually hard to plan some events because their life is kind of a mess, right? Or maybe they do not really depend on themselves. Maybe they have their boss who tells them what to do and what time they need to devote for their work. But anyway, you should realize that schedule is important even though you have other events in your life that do not depend on you or other people, right? So, and why is that important? First of all, we need to talk about your sleep schedule. If you go to bed, or at least please try to go to bed and try to wake up at the exact same time every single day. And as soon as you start doing that, you know what's gonna happen, right? The chance of getting a burnout is so much lower when you actually go to bed at the right time for you. And you know what is the right time to go to bed for all people? That is about 10 or 11 p.m. And you know that a lot of scientists talk about it, and a lot of research has been done around this topic, that if you actually sleep less than 5 hours, right? We need to sleep 8 hours. And if you do not go to bed and if you don't try to wake up at the same time, you will highly likely not live as long as you would like to. So, guys, if you want to live a long and happy life and being healthy, of course, you need to sleep well. You need to, you know, do maybe the evening routine, because I've always been this kind of person who found it pretty hard to go to bed. What I mean by that is I always had some obsessive thoughts, and I was just worried or anxious about tomorrow, and that still happens sometimes. So what you need to do is to find the evening routine that suits for you. What do I mean by evening routine? It may be meditation, it may be yoga, it may be just reading a book, but please remember that this book must not be exciting. You know that some girls like reading books and they read at night, and they get to this part of the book where the main characters actually tell each other about their feelings, and of course you get too excited and you can't sleep. You can't feel sleepy. So obviously you would rather read a pretty boring book, right? And go to bed. So just try to find an evening routine that will help you to relax, and that would be so much better if you stopped using your gadgets before going to bed. Well, the next thing that I'd like to tell you is also pretty simple, and I'm gonna tell you about food. So, the second tip is eating clean, or maybe not as clean as you can, but eating clean is the key because your body needs vitamins and nutrients to feel great. And except that, talking about food, you must be full during the day. I've been on diets so many times during my life, and nothing good has come out from this. When I was on a diet, I wasn't full of energy and I felt sleepy most of the time. And what I could recommend you is also maybe to be on a diet, maybe to restrict some foods only in case of your health, right? If you have something like some problems with your hormones, you may see what foods you should eat. And of course, you should eat. And even if you are on a diet, you should feel full during the day. And do not forget about fueling your body, because also, if you do not fuel your body well, it can lead to some bigger problems than just getting anorexia or other diseases. So please try to eat clean and try to fuel your body and care about what you eat, because if you feel like you're in your depressed state, obviously you need to work on your mentality, and also you need to work on what you eat, because also you do get energy from food, not just from maybe talking to people or other activities. The third step is going to be about relaxation. Relax is such an important thing that many people forget about, especially if you are a workaholic, and if you were raised in such family where your parents were really hardworking, or maybe not even your parents, but people who surround you. You just grew up in this society where people worked a lot, and you learned that you must do that, or maybe you won't be loved, right? You won't be appreciated by who you are. But relaxation is really important. And you know what psychologists say? Psychologists say that you should relax at least 1 day a week. What I mean by relax, right? There may be relax by doing sports, right? You may do sports and your brain will relax. If you had a stressful day, if you go to the gym, of course, highly like you'll feel better and you won't have as many anxious thoughts as you could have if you didn't go to the gym. But also, some people need to relax by reading a book or doing their favorite hobby. And it is also a relaxation if you do not change any activities, right? If you do not change if you don't change your intellectual activity to the physical activity, but if you just do nothing. Yeah, you may scroll TikTok, you may scroll Instagram, you may, I don't know what you can do, right? You may just do nothing for 1 day, and that is absolutely fine, because that what will happen, that what will help you to stay productive during the other days of the week, and you'll have so much more motivation. Trust me, that really works. And you won't be mad at other people, if you work with people like me, because I'm a teacher and I work with people, and sometimes it may be overwhelming to work a lot. But when you start relaxing and when you spend time by yourself or just doing nothing, you get so much more motivation and you want to do much more things. So the next thing that I want to talk to you is going to be setting boundaries. It's always been hard for me because I think my family hasn't taught me well about it, but when I was in my therapy journey, but I still want to continue it. I think that it can be endless. You always have some questions, you always have some thoughts that you can discuss with a psychologist. And what I mean by setting boundaries is that you need to realize what you want from your life. I know that it may be hard, but that try to do it. How can you do that in an easy way? You should realize what you don't want. As one of my teachers said, if you don't know what you want, you definitely know what you don't want. So when you start thinking about not wanting something, you start realizing that maybe you want the opposite. That is one of the things that are needed for setting boundaries. Also, I want to tell you about um, the thing that you should get self-respect and you should work with your self-esteem. Setting boundaries means having self-respect for yourself, realizing your wishes, and understanding what people can do to you, how people can treat you, and what they can't do. Because if you do not set boundaries, and toxic people will always come into your life. Trust me, toxic people try to come into anybody's life just because they need others people's other people's energy to boost their egos. And you don't want to be that person who boosts somebody's egos, right? You want to be with good people who inspire you, who make you happy, and so on and so on. And in general, you should set boundaries. And if a toxic person enters your life, you just say sorry, or without even saying sorry, you just say, you can't treat me that way. I don't like that. And you just say goodbye. And the last tip is going to be related to the fourth one: cut off toxic people. If that sad thing happened, and unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, because you got nice experience, I suppose, and a toxic person came into your life, you should do your best to cut them off. Again, we are talking about how to improve your life. If you actually do want to improve your life, you should get rid of toxic people who surround you. And I know that there are many methods of doing that. For example, blocking people, or stop just you can stop interacting with them. There are a lot of ways that you can Google, but yeah, you can also set your boundaries, tell those people that they can't treat you that way, or you may just stop talking to them. It depends on what kind of a toxic person it is, because there are a lot of types. And as soon as you cut off these people, you may feel that void in yourself, that you're missing something. Maybe you feel like you miss that person. You know that they were not good for you, but you miss something. Or you may just feel bored, or you may feel that you will never find a good person or a good friend. But this stage in your life is really necessary for you to become the best version of yourself. That is when you'll have time for sleep, because you will not cry yourself to sleep every night because of a toxic person or toxic people. Second, you'll have more time for cooking good food, or um, not even cooking, maybe ordering delivery of great products. And of course, you'll have more time for relaxation and working on yourself and getting to know yourself better. So guys, that was me, Vicky. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye.